Let's start. Let's start. Economic. Today, most of the world economies are planned, and the world has seen major experimental breakthrough in the area of economic planning by now. India has been planned economy right since the independence and continues to be under the policy think tank Niti Aayog. This chapter stands. This chapter intended to introduce a reader to a major what, how, and why the concept of economic planning. This chapter intended to introduce a reader to a major what, how, and why the concept of economic planning. It was Soviet Union which explored and developed national planning for the first time in the world after a prolonged period of debate and discussion. The first Soviet plan commenced in 1928 for a period of 5 years, but the rest of the world was not fully aware of the module operandi of the development planning till 1930s. It was the exodus of an East European economist to British and the United States in 1920 and 1930. that made the world aware as to what economic national planning was all about. The entire colonial world and the democrats of the time were fascinated by the idea of planning as an instrument of economic progress. The nationalist leaders with the socialistic inclination of the Eastern East, while British colonies were more influenced by the idea of economic planning. The whole decade of the 1930s in the period of Indian history was when we see nationalist, capitalist, socialist, democrats, and academician advocating for the need of economic planning in India at one time or the other. Independent India was thus distinct to be a planned economy. Economic history of India is nothing but a history of planning. Even if the so-called economic reforms has started in 1991-92, all the humble suggestions regarding the contrast of reforms were very much outlined by the Planning Commission by then. Once the reform commenced, the think tank started outlining the major future direction of future plans. Going through the history of planning in India is a educated, highly educational trip in itself. For or through the PC has been a political body, it never hesitated in pointing out good economic time and again. Let us therefore find out about the unfolding of planning process in India. By the decade of 1920s, the idea of planning have already entered the democratic and intellectual and the political discussions in India. Many fresh proposals, suggestions suggesting immediacy of planning in India were put forward, though the erstwhile British government remained almost immune to them. But these humble proposals of planning served their purpose once India became independent and decided to adopt planned economy. The Visvesvaraya plan. The credit of proposing the first blueprint of Indian planning is given to the popular civil engineer and ex-Diwan of Mysore state, Mr. M. Visvesvaraya. In his book, The Planned Economy of India, published in 1934, he outlined a broader contour for his plan proposal. His idea of state planning were an exercise in democratic capitalism similar to the United States, with emphasis on industrialization, a shift of labor from agricultural to industrial, targeted targeting to double the national income in one decade. Though there was no follow up by the British government on this plan, it it roused an urge of national planning amongst the educated citizens of the country. The FICCI proposal. The FICCI. In 1934, a serious need of national planning was recommended by the Federation of Indian Chambers of Council of Commerce and Industry, the leading organization of Indian capitalists. Its president N.R. Shankar proclaimed that the days of un- undilutable laissez-faire were gone forever, and for the backward countries like India, a comprehensive plan for economic development covering the whole gam- gamut of economic activities was a necessity. Why, voicing the view of the capitalist class, he further called for a high powered national planning commission to coordinate the whole process of planning so that the country could make a structural bra- back break with the past and achieve its full growth potential. But the late 19th century, the economic thinking of nationalists such as M.G. Ranade and Dada Bhai Nauroji was in favor of dominant role of state in economy and doubled the prudence of market mechanism. Doubted the prudence of market mechanism. This thinking was further reinforced by the Keynesian idea in the wake of Great Depression. The New Deal in the United States and Soviet expre- experiment is national planning. Thus, the Indian capitalist class were also influenced by these events, which were voiced in the FICCI article of planning. The Congress plan. Though the Gandhians are some of the business and properties representatives were opposed to commit the party the centralized state planning, including Mahatma Gandhi. It was on the initiative of Indian National Congress President Subhash Chandra Bose that National Planning Committee was set up in October 1938 under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru to work out consent concentrate programs for development encompassing all major areas of the economy. Basically, the NPC, National Planning Commission, was set up is a conference of ministers of industries of the Congress ruled state, though other states were also invited to participate, where M. Vishweshwara Rai, J.R.D. Tata, G.D. Birla, and Lala Shriram are and many others, including academicians, technocrats, provincial civil servants, union trade unionists, socialists, communists were also invited. The 15-member NPC with 29 subcommittees and a total of 350 members produced 29 volumes of recommendation. The work of the committee was interpreted when the Second World War broke out, and in the wake of Quit India movement, many of its members, including the chairman, was arrested, and between 1942 and 1945 the committee has only a nominal ex- existence, though the final report of National Planning Commission could only be published in 1949. Many developments related to the planning took place during the interim government up to 1946. A series of valuable reports were published which brought together A series of valuable reports were published which brought together the constructive thinking done by the committee and the subcommittees and the materials collected in the course of their work.